It's been 23 years ago today that I lost my dad. As far back as I can remember, I remember trailing Dad down to the Center Theater downtown when he would go to work, especially in the summertime. I didn't have anything else to do. I would tag along after him. He'd take me to the soda shop in the mornings for breakfast. If he had a meeting with somebody, I was sitting there with him. I would go to the Daily Times with him to drop off newspaper ads. I'd go to the bank with him to make the deposit for the theaters. I'd go with him to WGTM to set up schedule for radio spots. I would go with him to open and close the Drake and the Center theaters, and those were some of my favorite memories. One of my favorite movies, The Green Mile. There is a segment where the chief is going to be executed the next day, and he's talking to Tom Hanks about, he wonders if when you went to the great beyond, if you would experience the happiest times of your life, or if you would live during the happiest period of your life. And I think about that a lot. That time of my life was the happiest time of my life. I didn't have any worries, and I was surrounded by cowboys and monsters and science fiction movies all the time, and it was just a good way to grow up.
You think if a man sincerely repents on what he done wrong, that he might get to go back to the time that was happiest for him and live there forever? Could that be what heaven's like?
I just about believe that very thing.
I would sit in the Dad's office a lot during the day. I would read press books, look at the movie posters. Eventually I got to help change the marquee and the movie posters, pop popcorn. Ended up being my first job, was popping popcorn at the Drake, for the Drake in the Center. And we put the popcorn machine was out on the street. And we would pop popcorn and put them in these giant large stands, and they carried the large stands around to the center to drop off their popcorn. And I remember the feel of those large cans, how heavy they were to me at that age, trying to carry 3 or 4 of them around and drop them off at the theater. I remember being a little scared when I would go at the center, and my mom or someone would want me to go to the back and get them some ice, and the ice machine was behind the stage, so you had to walk down the aisle, go through the exit curtain, go up the steps, and go behind the stage where the speakers were. Of course, you could see the movie reflected in reverse on the screen, but it was always kind of spooky to me, especially if there was a horror movie playing, to go up there to the ice machine and get the ice. And I was always looking over my shoulder, but it was fun. I would often take, before Dad became a manager, he worked in the booth at the center, and I can remember Mom would send me to take him his supper. We lived on Vance Street, so it was a short walk from where we lived, cut through the alley next to the soda shop, right on Nash Street, and go to the center to take Dad his supper. And of course I had to climb the steps to the balcony, and then climbed to the highest part of the balcony, all the way up to the booth, which was a pretty steep incline, and that took me a while to get used to as well. But I always enjoyed taking him to supper, because usually when I would get up there, it was hot. He had the windows open where you could look out on the street, and he had been building a Aurora model, maybe a Frankenstein or something, up there on the counter to kill time. And I would watch him build those models, and eventually he showed me how to build the models, and that's how I got models, and that's how I got interested in those. I would watch him for hours build those models, and he built all kinds animals and action stars and of course all the monsters, all the monster models that were popular at that time. He would buy them at Woolworths for like 59 cents or something, and build them. I don't know what he did with them after he built them. I don't recall him coming home. He must have left them around in the booth or something. But those were fond memories too. A lot of times during the summer, especially when I would be there all day, I would get bored, maybe not be crazy about the movie, or maybe they were playing a romance movie or something. And Mom was still working on a candy bar at that time. She would sometimes give me a quarter to go down to Woolworths. Down the street. So I would go get me a toy and come back and play in the aisle or at the front of the theater in between shows, and to help kill time. And if it was a movie I really liked, like a John Wayne Western or something, I would just sit there and watch it over and over again all day. That happened quite often. Reflection is good for the soul, I say, and I just look back on those times fondly, and giving Dad a good thought today, and thinking about the good times, the good old days.